Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar. Today we would like to give you an insight on how to develop your first application on and with our cloud-based integration platform called Pantaris. But before we jump into the topic, let me quickly introduce my colleague and also myself. My name is Laura Kürzel. I am a sales engineer at the ITAS GmbH and working in the area of vehicle cloud services. For today's webinar, I brought my colleague Hans Herchland with me. He's also part of the ITAS and the cloud solution engineer of Pantaris. Right, after you're aware of whom you're talking with today, I would like to briefly outline what we are going to show you. We will start with a little introduction of the ITAS and our platform Pantaris. After that, we will directly jump into the live system and start the development of your first application. In the end, we are more than happy to address your questions. But before we start, just one more hint. Since many parts of this webinar will be in the live system, we won't show many presentation slides. However, don't worry if the demonstration will be too fast for you to directly follow. We will provide some slides, including code snippets after the webinar. So, right, as I already mentioned, I'd like to briefly introduce the company we are working for. So the ITAS GmbH is a 100% subsidiary of the Robert Bosch GmbH. It was founded in 1994 and has about 2,100 employees working from 31 locations in 12 countries. ITAS has a strong automotive focus with a portfolio covering the areas of vehicle basic software, middleware, cybersecurity, cloud-based services, and also consulting services. Our mission is to empower tomorrow's automotive software and thereby make the software-defined vehicle become reality. One major component of the software-defined vehicle vision is our cloud-based integration platform, Pantaris. With this solution, we enable the outsourcing of vehicle-centric services to the cloud and are thereby reducing software complexity in the vehicle. So let's have a closer look at Pantaris. Pantaris is our cloud-based integration platform, enabling automotive service business. But how do we define an automotive service? According to our understanding, an automotive service is a marketable, independent, web-based or connected solution focusing on a specific automotive domain, or it can also be domain agnostic. This means it is a digital solution either focusing on a specific domain like powertrain, or it can also be cross domains, of course. It can potentially also include vehicle hardware, but it can also be fully web or cloud-based. An example would be a fleet management service, which generates vehicle data from the vehicle and shows them in a dashboard. With this in mind, let's have a closer look at Pantaris itself. So, generally, the solution can be compared to an app store, but in a B2B sense. Therefore, it has two sides: a service developer and provider side, where services can be created, and a marketplace side, where service providers can sell and users can book services. With the service provider portal, we enable the development, release, and operation of vehicle-centric services. The marketplace can be used as a sales channel. In addition, we provide a diverse service offering on the marketplace consisting of Bosch, ITAS, and soon maybe also of your services covering various use cases. So, as mentioned already, with the different sides of Pantaris, we are addressing and matching various target groups. The first group are the service developers. Service developers might have an idea of what kind of service they would like to develop. However, if they consider the development and operation of the service, they need to set up an infrastructure before they actually start developing. This means they're basically starting from scratch. With Pantaris, we are addressing these developers or even development teams with our service provider portal. An example for this group might be automotive startups or companies which are quite new to service business. The second group are the service providers. Service providers have an existing service but need a way to scale, operate, and sell it. With our tools in the service provider portal and the marketplace, we provide an ideal sales channel and the foundation for service operations. Companies belonging to this group might be development service providers, for example. The last group in this graphic are the service users. Service users are searching for solutions covering their use cases. On the Pantaris marketplace, we offer them the right service for their business. These companies can be car manufacturers or T1 suppliers, for example. Today, we're going to focus on the service developer side. In order to dig really deep into the topic, we will be doing it live. And with this, I would like to hand over to Hans, He prepared a little poll in order to get to know you a little bit better. So, Hans, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone. So at first, I would like to know from you which programming languages or frameworks you use. Would it be JavaScript and the related Node.js or other frameworks, Java, Spring Boot, etc., Python, Flask, Django, or a completely other one? It's totally fine. Just for curiosity. But in the end, it won't matter for Panteras. Okay, then we will start to dig a little bit deeper into what we will do today. But we start with a little overview over our applications. Laura already taught you a little bit, but we will dig a little bit deeper. Exactly. We, as already mentioned, the service provider developer will use the service provider portal on the left side, publish stuff or their applications, your services in the marketplace, and the service user can then book those in the organization and projects they have. In the background, we will have independent sandboxes for each project you're running. In each organization you have it. They will be completely separated from each other. We will provide secure communication channels between them. You will have different layers for if you have a productive application and prepare an update. You will have sandbox applications where you can test before you ship your next release for your application. As I mentioned, we will manage the whole access and rights management. We have an API where you can manage the whole project settings, vehicles in the project, files in the project, and their relation to each other. Therefore, you have storage management for the files I mentioned, and also we manage your application code. We have Git repository for your application, and also we will see later we will have Docker images, which will be stored in our internal registry and used for your applications once users need them. We'll also have monitoring for our internal infrastructure and also for your applications. We run on Kubernetes and Docker on our public cloud infrastructure. Okay, maybe a little bit more insights on the next page, how we do the whole application development, what we will do today. You as a developer, you will have a Git repository, which will start, you have locally, you have a present one. In our example today, we will start with a blank new one, which we will fill after another with some content. But in the end, I have some basic commands, shell commands you will have to execute to get your first code to our Panteras Git server. That would be to get it there. Afterwards, we will use that and build some images and push it into our Docker registry we have. If you then go to the provider portal, you can start the application in your sandbox, and there it will run, do some requests against the internet or against our internal API. That's dependent on your application. In our example, we will do some internal requests, but modification later on is pretty easy. Okay, now we have an overview on what we will take over. We will directly step into the presentation, and I will take over the screen. Okay, to see where your service will be in the end, we will start from the marketplace where you want your service to be visible for customers. Like we have one demo service here. But how do we get there? To be able to get your application up and running, you will go to the Panteras provider portal. There you have different, I have already different applications. If I want to create a new one, I can do it on the top right. But first, let's take a look what we would be able to see. In our demo service, you can have a dashboard to see an overview of the latest activities, notifications, costs you currently have. You can update your marketplace appearance, where you can switch between different visibilities, contact legal information, and also, of course, images to present your service, some description, and so on. We provide statistics where you can see how much users are using your services, how many projects it's activated, and so on. Also billing overview, where you can see how much time and money you have running and the services. It's comparative to AWS or other dashboards. You can have specific license packages you can customize, but it's a little bit more complex, so it's a dedicated workshop maybe. But you also have overview to the instances where in different projects where it's activated, sandbox for testing, of course, and the versions you want to maintain and develop. Also activities overview and access management for your team members. All right, now you have a little overview, and maybe also it's time for me to show you, we have our documentation page where you also can dig a little bit deeper, have more documentation on. If you have any questions later on, you can search and look into it. Also, we will start here. And the first step for us would be that we check, do we have Git installed, and create with our project. So as I explained before, we have our repository locally. I will just set it up now. Just rename it Hans New App and go into the folder and set it up. Okay, now we have our Git repository. We have to set it up, our application on Pentaris. Therefore, I will create it here. Name it Hans New App. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be the same name, but it has to be a unique name. I am the publisher, and I will create my application. I'm here now. As you can see, I'm still in a limited plan, so there are some limitations, but in the first steps, you will be able to get going and have your application up and running in any seconds or minutes. So we're gonna get our SSH URL for the Git repository, but before we can do it, we need to check if we have our SSH key saved in our account. So we go over to the user settings and check it. So there, I have my 2 SSH keys I have installed locally, but if you don't know how to set it up, you would be able to create your one with simple command. We provide it also in the slides later if you, but every SSH and Git documentation will get you on there too. So if you would do it, I would override mine, so I won't do it now, but afterwards you can get it, your public key here, take it, copy it from your shell and create it as a new one. I won't save it now because I have already mine here, but that would be your steps to get your development machine onboarded. And after it's done, we can head back to our application and continue setting up our environment. Okay, next step would be, I will clear my screen and add the remote. And now I can check if it worked. I have it, and to make it easier, I will open my Visual Studio Code for you, so we can get going a little bit faster. All right, and you can see it. I have to zoom in a little bit for you. And I prepared my application, so let me quickly get it up. Here we go. Okay, we have today a little Node.js app. It's already provided with its dependencies, script, and so on. As mentioned, you will get the code, no worries. It's pretty simple. It's an Express.js server application, which will just log out hello world, as you can see here. And that's it. So we will add our code. We can use the internal Git Visual Studio Code functionalities for that. And we can also publish it here, and it should work out of the box. So now if we go back, we will see our main branch locally created, just pushed. So all are fine. But if we go now to a sandbox, we can select our project and branch to start it. And yeah, we will get also the information that we don't have our Docker Compose and Docker files present, which we will need. It's a Pantera's own flavor we need, and so we will add it. Back in our Visual Studio Code, I will add some new files we will need. So as discussed, our Docker Compose file and our Docker file, which will just have a node image, copy over our package JSON, install all our dependencies, copy over our source code, and start the server. And the Docker Compose file just will take care that the Docker file is taken, and it will also announce support it will be available. So we know what we have to check and present and forward to the user. All right, now we can edit it again. And have a look back into the versions. It just updated. And start the sandbox in my demo project. I can also have a look. It's building pretty fast. If you are using different images, it may take a while, but it has cached it because I've done it a little more often. Okay, and we can see the application starting up. So we provide you in the free package a set of free nodes you can use. You have to share it with other developers. It's still names-based from the community side, so no accessing different data, but you share different nodes. That's not the case for the premium feature. There we have your dedicated nodes where you have all the power for you during development for free packages. You may have to wait some time until we can scale up our infrastructure and get the application running. Yeah, it depends. If we have to join in a node, it can take up to 1 to 3 minutes. So we just wait here. It will be there any second. But in the case it takes longer, I have already prepared something. So that would be the result. We will get here in any seconds. It's just displaying hello world. So what would be the next steps for our application? Oh, it's getting ready. Now it's coming. Any minute. can already prepare the next step for you while we wait for it. Here we are. Start of the application is pretty fast. Problem is joining in another node. So now we have the application. We also have a dashboard. If anybody of you worked with Kubernetes before, you may know it, where you have an overview over different stuff. You can do a lot of in here. So that is an option, at least in development. You can also see the resources, etc. All right. With our next iteration, we provide some application context with the application, like the user, the project it's running in, and so on. So we can take advantage of that and use it inside our project. I've added some new header requests we can use to get the first and the last name of the user and greet the user if he's entering our application. So we also provide different the user ID you could use to fetch other data from our API. We will take a look into the API and so on in any second, but let me first commit our changes. All right. I have to stop it again. In the free plan, you can only have one running. It's just committed. So we start another sandbox. Yeah, pretty easy once it's first cached. And we have a node ready, so it's starting up much faster. And it's greeting myself. And now if you would open the app, it would be your name standing here. So it's not hard-coded, as you have seen. All right. So the next step, we will use our internal API to get more project data from which we have. Maybe therefore I can show you here in this section, application context. We provide different contexts in the front end. We provide cookies. In the back end, we provide the headers and environment variables you can use. So have a look at that if you need any contextual data. And also here you can see our platform API you can access, and there you have all our routes you can use to build your application for the user and solve cool and challenging problems in the engineering field. So I will prepare our updated demo. Just give me a second. All right. I extended the demo, so we go through it a little bit. So our index.js file, we import node fetch, which will just give us an option to make HTTP requests. We added, as you can see, this line, which will load the project via the internal API. It's pretty simple. We added on the /project route, and in between, we will call our api.kibuna.en, which is the internal route for accessing anything. So you can just replace anything which we have here, api.pantaros.io, this is the internal route. It's using the internal traffic, so it will be much faster. And also, you don't have to take care about authentication because we know from which application requests are coming and will do the whole authentication against our API yourself. You just have to do the request and get the project back. And then we will just put it out to the user, and that's it. In our updated front-end code, we will deliver an index.html file. Pretty simple. The most important stuff is the div ID app we will have there in the main.js code we will do in the front end. We will get our instance cookie, get the project ID. If we have a project ID, we will fetch our project backend route and just add it to our div, app div. We have set the inner text on the element and just put the JSON on the inner element and display the JSON string. So pretty simple. You can do anything else. You can fetch project data, vehicle data, file data. Yeah, or also you could create a WebSocket. The options are infinite. You can do mostly everything you can do in the web. This is just for demonstration, a little bit more simple. We will have to add the public folder. So that's it. And our package JSON, yeah, that should be also fine. So we will add our changes. All right. Now that we have updated it, all right, we can build it again in my demo project. Here we are. It's the project I started in. We get some more contextual information like responsibles, cost center, organization, settings, restore the root directory, users, running applications, etc. There's a lot you can get from already that, but yeah, also vehicles like the vehicle I have here. You could query it listed. Exactly, and also to show our backend route, which will show nothing more. It will give us the same answer, but in JSON only format. The other was just formatted HTML JSON. So that's what we have here. Authentication and stuff is all taken, handled by Panteras. You don't have to do anything. If you're not logged in, you would be logged in to the login screen, redirected to the login screen. So at that point, that's the most complex stuff we have currently, or complex. It's not complex. It's pretty basic. You can do a lot of it with it. So I think most of stuff I wanted to show you is done. Oh, maybe one thing I have forgotten. To have different versions, like we saw it here in Marketplace, you would have to create a version first. How do we create a version? It's like we always do it in Git. We tag something. So if I have my first version to do to tag, I would just do a git tag 001 and push the tags. And you will get the notice from our backend that the version was created. And if we head over, the page will also know that we have no version 001. But what I wanted to show you is that we have it here. You could also delete it and tag it again. So that would be the place where you can then use, the marketing team could now provide some cool visuals, description, etc. And then you can save it to draft and send it to publishing to us once you have your cool application content ready for the users. All right. That's all from my side. And I hope you enjoyed it and can build your application or the same application and build some stuff on top of it.
Great. So thank you, Hans. As we have some minutes left, I can also give you, just to summarize everything you've just seen, I might give you some insights on the benefits this whole thing provides for you as a developer, and then we can start the question and answers for that. After that, I would say. So I will take over the screen once again and show you some benefits. So as Hans just explained, we provide you a ready-to-use infrastructure, and this kind of enables you to focus on the development of the features that make your service unique. So you don't have to start all over from scratch, focus on developing or setting up kind of an infrastructure. So we will do that for you. Everything is monitored, everything is operated by us. So that's the first advantage. Of course, as Hans also mentioned, we have, everything is Kubernetes and Docker based, and we also provide REST APIs. So basically, you can bring your own coding languages, databases, whatever you have. So because it's just containerized and you can use it straight away. And of course, we also have the sandbox environment. This, of course, provides the benefit that you have an incident-free code validation, and you can also, of course, develop simultaneously as you have the version control. And like many developers can do things simultaneously. You also have direct access to new customers and markets. So when you're using our marketplace, of course, we have some OEMs already using some products on our marketplace. So you will get the opportunity basically to get access to them and to sell your service to these customers. And of course, like our tools Hans showed in the beginning, like the cost control, you really know what kind of costs the different customer projects are creating. And it's pretty simple to do the billing in the end. And of course, also the orchestration of customer resources. You can really quickly scale your service up, since you can directly kind of choose in the system how much resources customers might consume, and then you can just manage and orchestrate the resources. And we also do have a usage-based pricing, which is also pretty good for, of course, scaling your service. And on top of that, we also have, of course, 24/7 managed operations. And we provide strong cloud-based performance, of course, for your service. Right, so this was it from my side. Thank you, goodbye.
Thank you, goodbye.